user interface. It looks like we are live streaming.
Nice. I'm just gonna share the meeting agenda just real quick before we get started.
And for others, why we are live streaming, it's like because whatever we do at Async API, it should always be available to everyone. So it's for us, live stream is much easier way to make sure that the recording stays there after the meeting. I still see some people joining, and once Jonas shares the links.
I did on Zoom. I don't think I'm.
You were sharing a link on Zoom. Okay, so you can continue, and I will share a link on Slack. I mean, link to the live stream.
Nice. Well, it's not really me that's gonna follow the agenda that much. It's Heiko that called for this meeting, which is more or less to start moving this discussion forward regarding request reply and how to better support it, or how to support it in Async API. But yeah, Heiko, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. My name is Heiko. I'm working for a bigger Swiss company, and I'm responsible for company internal messaging. So we are managing up to 100 microservices using messaging. And now we have to support the request supply pattern. So I want to drive that topic a little bit forward.
Great, yeah. So I guess we can just get right into it. Do you want to share?
Yeah, if it is possible. I'm not allowed to share.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, Lucas, that's all you. Because I can't.
I made you co-host. You cannot give rights.
No.
Okay.
Now I am able to. Okay, I share now my screen with you. So first, let me go through the use cases I collected with some colleagues. Here we see 4 different use cases for request reply. First 3 are topic-based, so using a standard message broker. Here I see the first use case, I have a well-defined response topic and a correlation ID. So the response topic is defined in the schema, it's not part of the request message. Only the correlation ID is part of the request message, saying, hey, this is the ID I requested to, and if I get a response, the response also contains the correlation ID, so the requester knows, hey, this is the response to my request. First use case. This is used very often. The second one is a little bit more complex if you have more participants on the same topic. So I have a request on an inbound topic, and my message contains a reply topic. So this is a topic name with a random number containing or whatever that only my process is using. So only my process getting the response, not everyone. And again, in correlation ID, so if I do parallel request, I need to know what is the response to my request. Third one is a little bit more complicated again. Here, for each request, I create a temporary reply topic. So no need of the correlation ID. Everything we received on those temporary topic is exactly for the single request I did. This is mostly done for request multi-reply. So if you send one request and receive multiple replies. And the last one I grabbed out of the issue history. If you're using, for example, WebSocket, you don't have any topics. Your channel is more like the TCP connection of the WebSocket. And you only have a correlation ID because there are no topics. So there is no channel. You have to call it. Is that for everyone clear? Any questions? Now, further, I want only focus on Async API v3 because putting everything into V2 is very more complicated. Now I prepared samples for those 4 variants. Sample 1, I have a channel for my request and say here, okay, this is my topic, or some channel of the topic of this channel and my payload. And I also define response topics. And to put request and response together, I use, as suggested from someone of you, I don't know anymore, an operation called
Heiko?
create. Yeah.
Just before you continue, like publish and subscribe, you can get rid of publish and subscribe in version 3.
Okay.
So this is gone. I see that you have a question there. So just before people. get
Okay,
confused.
that's gone. Okay.
Yeah, this is gone. Publish and subscribe.
Okay, so message flow direction is now handled by operations. Okay, cool. So now I have an operation request. The request is going to this channel here. And I define a reply and pointing here again to a channel, because I need to know the reply topic. This is part of the schema. What I found here in your suggestion is you have in a request, you have a channel and a message. Now it is possible, if you're giving here this channel, that the message, the payload, is contradict the channel definition up here. Are you aware of this?
So this was just a suggestion, but yeah, one of the suggestions is that that you can override this. So for a specific operation, you can override the default of the channel. So you can standardize what's happening on the channel. Like at channel level, you have this message.
Yeah.
But a specific operation can override it. One suggestion, I mean, it can make the specification a little bit complicated. So one suggestion that was mentioned once is that we somehow give names to the messages. So the channel will contain a list of allowed messages, each of them with a name. And yeah, like one-off, for instance, but with different names. And then on the operation message property, we specify which messages are allowed. You know what I mean? Only,
I understand
only the
you.
messages that are allowed, like not all of them, but just this one or just these 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand you. I don't know if I like it or not. Because
just, I mean, so the thing about having a default on the channel is the cool thing about having it in the channel is that it's easier for companies to standardize on specific message per topic or set of messages per topic. Yeah. So then it's easier to understand what's being published into this topic or channel, right? But if you allow people to override these on operations only without standardizing on channel, then it's much more powerful, but it's also much complicated to understand what's being published into a specific channel, because you will have to scan all the async API files.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'm from a world where only type programming languages are allowed. And with a type programming language, you won't only have one single schema on a channel, because you need to know how to parse it. You cannot do any duck typing or things like that.
But the reality is that people are sometimes publishing multiple messages.
Yeah.
And what you do usually in type messages is that you try catch parsing one type of message, and if it fails, you try with a different one, and then a different one until something parses. And if none of them parses, then
it's an
unexpected message.
Nothing I would allow, but I'm with you. There are people like doing that.
then you can so linting, for instance, linters like as I call this one from can't remember anyway. So linters can help you with this. So companies can set up linting rules, like you cannot have one more than more than one message per channel, and it's not allowed in our company or something like that. That's linting, right? That is like a specific configuration for your company or your organization.
So that's only for overwriting.
Yeah, or overwriting is not allowed or something like that.
Yeah.
You can have linter rules like this. Up to the organization, of course.
So that okay, let's go on. This is issue A, possibly easy to solve. For option B, B, C, and D, you see here a little different. You see here reply channel, and here you see reply message. You don't have a reply channel because the reply topic is part of the request message. It's completely unknown in a schema. So then here can you say maybe it's channel or it's message. Or you also can say, hey, it's channel and message, and you overwrite the message of the channel. So everything possible here.
Yeah, I think we can make anything possible. Like we're still defining this, so that's like everything should be possible. But what my opinion here is that you can have like a set of allowed messages that you might use to reply. It would be cool to understand like where am I getting the topic from? You know what I mean? So the topic in this case is dynamic, like it's in a header or something like that, or a property of the body tells you where to reply or something like that. It will be cool to know that, or to be able to point to that. Like you have to, so the information of where to reply is on the header reply to of the original message, or it's on the body, on the property, blah blah blah, whatever.
Okay, right? So good so far.
I will actually do it only with the headers because I don't think it's common to have it on the body. But
reply, topic, source, whatever.
Yeah.
You could say whatever.
Yeah, we can come up with a
channel XYZ. What else could it be? Header.
What do you mean by channel in this case?
Channel, and what here is like I subscribed to before. Channel, where it is. So, like this one.
Can't it be like just an idea? Like can't it be like channel is assumed to be the same as the one above, the one of the request? Since it's a reply, the channel is the same as the, like where do you grab the I'm not saying that we reply to the same channel. I'm saying that we read from the message on the request. We read the header, and there's a reply to header there. We get this topic, and that will be the topic where we will reply. So you don't need to specify the channel again, right?
Okay, let's jump into one of a real world example. You see in request, and I think this one is a response to the request. And you see those are our topics. And our topics have in prefix is application identification, stage, API version, API. So this one here is responsible to routing to the correct broker. So the response address have to follow in schema. Otherwise, it will not be routed to the correct location. So I not only can say, hey, use every thing that is written in the reply to header, I have to give an allowed schema for the reply to header. This is one of my requirements.
Like, do you want to validate that whatever comes in the reply to header?
Yeah, my point was just using a channel for that. Here I have a topic. I can have in wildcards within here and define messages, whatever, and just say, hey, my reply to source is our channel. But yeah, in real life, I would have in reply to header, but the reply to header has to match this channel. It is now pretty hard to define.
but yeah, but my point here is that you may don't know it, right? Like, where is it replying, right? Like it can be so dynamic that you can't say that it's going to be in a channel.
Yeah.
Like it can be so dynamic that we cannot
It's more
define it
like reply
beforehand,
to,
right?
but yeah, yeah. How you want say that? What I really need reply to, but have to match channel.
Isn't not the same example as isn't it the same as I don't know, it's not the same as example A.
No, it's
Oh yeah, I
not.
know. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. So you want to validate that it has to be this channel, this specific channel, or at least it matches a pattern or
Yeah.
something like that.
Have to match a pattern. You have to go using this broker and things like that.
So then, in this case, I will suggest using regex. Like you can provide a regex for the channel.
Yeah, channel names are allowed to contain wildcards, so this is why I wanted here to have just a channel. But you're right.
But the reply to doesn't contain a channel; contains a topic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
a topic.
It's not in the format of a channel. It's the format it's in the format of the underlying technology that you're using. For instance, Kafka doesn't allow these slashes, right? But you might want to transform these slashes with underscores or something like that. So I will just say like this should be matching against this regex, like reply to headers should be matching against this regex, and it can be
mean something like source. Let's say don't want to have the channel here, and validation or pattern.
Yeah, I don't know, pattern. Yeah, we have pattern already, so yeah, this could work.
Then you could say, hey, my response channel, something like this.
Yeah, something like that, because so my point is that the way we define the channels in SNKPI, it's using slashes, it's a URL.
Yeah.
But the underlying system might not use slashes, might use something else.
Yeah, sure.
When converted. So we cannot point to a channel definition, because then or the system that we have, the channel format, the channel syntax, because it may not match, right? And also I think regex will be more like generic and easy to understand for people. I don't know what others think here, but yeah, just ideas.
No, sounds good for me. Yeah, why we could need a reply topic, reply channel. What is described in the channel? The operation the broker is used. But this is normally or always the same as a request channel. Might be there sometimes difference?
I'm not getting the question.
Is there any reason to use for request and reply a different channel?
There's usually a reason, like for instance with RPC, some people, what they do is that they distribute the replies in different queues for different queues for different consumers. So so that will be a reason.
Yeah, but what I mentioned more is where's the channel object? Channel object. What is a part of a channel? Description, subscription, publish, ignore, parameters, and bindings.
Yeah.
But then you think, I guess parameters and bindings should always be the same for request and reply. Or is there any reason to have different parameters and bindings for a reply than you had on a request?
thing is that I think we're trying to do two different things. So I was trying to just understand where you're sending the reply,
Yeah.
and that's it. I'm stopping there. And I think you want to define the full channel, like where are you going to send the reply to, right?
Yeah.
When the reply channel is known, even if it's just a pattern, but it's known, and you know more or less the structure it's going to have, then it works. But for instance, the other day, I think 2 weeks ago, I had a chat with a folk from SAP on Thinking Out Loud, and he was mentioning that the reply, the message could be sent to any topic, because any topic like any, because the user, the customer is able to configure through an interface to create a new topic and to put the name of the topic there. So in this case, it doesn't even have to follow a pattern, right? So so in this case, the pattern thing, like defining a whole channel, is not suitable, I think, because you don't know, you can expect anything.
Sure. Yeah.
So how do you define a channel that is
Yeah.
right?
Only asking, is there a need for that in some? Is there some use case to you need to define a channel? At the moment, I don't think there is any need for.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Same as body. I don't think anyone is. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but I don't think anyone is using the body as a way to specify where to reply. I don't know. Maybe on.
Normally, there should be a header, but you came up with a body.
But maybe on the WebSocket that don't have headers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
But,
yeah, also for MQTT3, you don't have header.
well, yeah, true. They don't have headers. Yeah.
I would guess, yeah. Let's have source, and source might be header or body.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, yeah, I don't know if we really need body, but there might be use cases.
Another option is that we go with header only for now, and if someone asks, we ask body in a future version. This way, we don't add anything that we don't know it's going to be used or not. Like so far in my career, I've only used headers in reply to. So yeah.
Sure, but I have to support 10 up to 100 MQTT applications, so I don't know when the first use case will come, but it will become. I'm pretty sure it will be there.
If you have a use case, go ahead and document.
Not at the moment, but I think it will become in near future.
Okay, so if you know that's going to be needed, go ahead and add it. Yeah, just saying that in my experience, I never did it, but yeah, like it can be used for sure.
So yeah,
looks like we're dominating the conversation. Someone else can can join. This is not a Heiko Frank conversation.
I'm interested in how we describe where the reply is going to, because I don't think it's a given that it's necessarily going to be the same server as where the request is. Is that supported by what you've described? And it might be that it is. I just haven't really thought through the implications.
No, it's not. It's because I'm asked if we need a complete channel or not. My suggestion is replies always go to the same server as the request is come from.
I mean, I agree that would be typical. That's typical, but I don't think it's always going to be the case. So I think it would be helpful to have a way of describing where the reply queue lives somewhere else.
But the queue is defined in the channel. The server location is defined via channel. Or is there a different option to do that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is maybe sort of a bit, because separately we have discussed in the past about how should we be maintaining a mapping between servers and channels, and maybe I'm sort of bringing that up again by this.
Yeah, let me go back to V2. Here you have the channel bindings. The channel bindings is the correlation to the server. Is that correct?
No, that's
Yes.
a place where you put the protocol specific info.
Okay.
Heiko, you're looking at 2.0 version, but 2.3 we added a way to link channel to a specific server.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where to find it. So here we have servers.
Yeah, and then at the channel level, you can also specify servers and specify on which servers a given channel is available.
Okay.
So I think I think it will be cool. Like whenever it's possible, let's let the user point to another channel, right? Like this is the reply is going to be sent to another channel, but in some cases, like we cannot define the channel upfront in an async API file because it's so dynamic that we don't know, right? So in this case, we should also give the option to just have a string, like reply to here to this name of the topic. We don't know what it is, or it's not defined anywhere in the it's not defined anywhere in the async API channel, in the async API document.
So that's just saying, hey, we have here the reply and have it in channel. And also having reply to reply topic that's not part of the channel. So channel and reply topic are optional, but one of both is required.
I wouldn't say that's required either one.
No, both not. So
Yeah.
if both are not defined, this channel would be used here.
For example, for Nats, it doesn't care what the reply channel is, it's built in. So it's basically just a HTTP request, similar action. So you just send the request and you get a reply on. Yeah, I think they add internally, they add something like a reply dot and then the channel, but it's not something that you conceptually have to do anything about.
So more like that. Like the channel and reply topic are optional as well as pattern. Only if you give a reply topic, only the source is required.
Yeah, not sure what to.
Can you scroll a bit up? Can you? Yeah, thank you.
So.
What would it look like if you wanted to define that you are the party that's replying to a request?
Sorry, don't understand.
So if this application that you have here is the one that's requesting something, how would it look like when you're defining it for the application that is replying it? Basically the opposite side of this specific operation.
This is why I wanted to have a reply channel. Where is somewhere I defined a reply channel here. As a replier, you just have this one. Yeah, but
the operation, it's operation.
Yeah, there's an operation is missing. Ooh, so would it be the opposite?
The valid suggestion, but it's kind of like.
Yeah, let's copy, create user.
That brought me another question. Like, is this action request meaning that this application is sending a request, or is it expecting that someone else makes a request?
This is for me as a requester. This is more I receive. I don't know what actions you have planned here. Here I receive it, and then it's more the same. Huh? I just, in this case, I send the create user, and here I receive the create user. And the way I define is the same. I just have to find a reply. How I would. So only the action is different.
Yeah, I think the opposite side will be just they receive, of course. But yeah, it will be cool. Yeah, it will be cool from the receiver side to know if what you're receiving is a request or just a plain message in a broker. Like what kind of message is it? Is it request? But now I'm thinking that maybe that's a property of the message and not a property of the channel or the operation. Like a message is a request always, like no matter the operation or the channel.
The complete operation is a little bit tricky. On one hand, you can define it for the API owner, and one hand, you can define it for the API user.
Mm-hmm.
And the operation names would be different, and the data flow directions would be different, but everything else would be the same.
Yeah. But I mean, if it's the same. But imagine that you're the user, this opposite that you're highlighting there, and you only have this information. You don't have the other information above. You don't know this is a request, right?
Yep.
You don't know this is a.
So normally, I'm going to describe my APIs for my consumers, not for myself. Because my consumers should have more benefit out of the code generation than me. Because normally you have more API users than API providers.
Maybe it's an important bit to highlight that in version 3, it means that, or the way that we're changing it or suggesting to change it means that you will have an async API document for your backend, and you will have one for your front end, or like those two perspectives.
Yeah.
So this means that you will have to, what's it called? Like expose the open API document. Like how the fuck could I say it? Like the one that's the consumers are using, which can be a mirror of the application behind it, but it can also be a mix match of different things. It all depends on your use case.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm asking how you are defining it from the opposite side, because you will have both perspectives.
You want to have the API owner's perspective. Yeah, they need a dedicated document with dedicated operations, defining it with their dedicated names. I think everything else would be very complicated to have both in the same document. Just reuse messages and everything like that.
Mm-hmm. So what if the message, there is a property in the message that it says this message is a request. So not on the operation. The operation will still be send and receive, but so there is no request operation, or there's no request operation. And on the message, at message level, we say like this message is a request. It's a request with headers and body, right? With headers and payload. And then depending if you're sending the message, then you're sending the request. If you're receiving the message, you're receiving a request. You're a server. If you're receiving a request, it's because you're a server, right? So then in this case, you're a server, or you are a server in the case of RPC over a broker. So then will it make more sense like this? Because I have the feeling that what's a request is a message. It's not the operation only, right? Otherwise, we'll need to have like a request action and a request receive action, right? for the receiver, for the client, right? Sorry, for the server in this case. So I don't know. I'm trying to explain it in the simplest
I'm with
way,
you.
but I'm hoping I'm not confusing anyone here. So the thing is that we have two parties communicating. One is the client and the other one is the server.
Yeah.
So right now we are defining an async API for each of them. That's the way it is. So the client has a send method, a send operation, sorry. It has a send operation, and it's sending a message to the server. And the server is receiving, of course, the same message, right? So to make it clear that this message is a request, and therefore it might have a reply, maybe this should be part of the message and not part of the operation.
The required headers should be part of the message. Yeah, I'm with you. The reply to header and the collation ID should be part of the message definition.
Yeah. So maybe this information should be put on the message and not on the operation.
What about the channels?
What about, sorry?
How do we, for example, here where you want to define the exact reply channel that it's returning to, would you have that on the message as well?
No, we can have that on the operation. So the operation can have like send this message, send this reply, right, to this specific channel or to this. So, but the metadata that makes you understand that this message is a request or is a response, this metadata is on the message. It's not on the operation. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So imagine that we have there one more field and it's type request, type response, something like that.
Yeah, normally it's like this type payload, never is. Just give me a second. Type object, where is it? Properties, that's the keyword I wanted to. More type object properties, reply to string and
yeah.
It's more like this on a message.
You mean traits is headers, I guess, right?
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. So okay, so that's clear. Like we have a header that is called reply to, but now we need to have something else there on the at message level, at the same level as name and summary and content type and so on. That says,
you could also say pattern.
Yeah, this pattern can be there as well. Yeah, maybe.
The only problem.
Not this one. No, not there. Yeah, not there.
Why not?
This will be just a request. This is a request, right?
Yeah, sure.
It says on the summary, it represents an explicit request. So this is a request.
Say in a request what kind of response topic, reply to topics are allowed.
Oh well, yeah. You're right. So okay, so let's leave it there. Let's now. One thing that comes to mind is if I read this message alone, I don't know this is a request. I mean, as a user, as a human, yeah, but as a machine, I don't know this is a request or if this is a plain normal message on a broker, right? So
when do you need that to
know? Will it be like just put there that this message is a request somewhere, like you have at the same level as headers and payload, you have something like, I don't know, kind request, something like that.
I don't think that's a requirement because when you don't, when you need to know if it's a request or a reply, it's only for the operations. If you want to generate code for that,
Yeah.
but on a message, you don't. It's not any kind of interest. So you don't need to
Think
know
about
that.
it, like how many and Jonas is mentioning reusability of the messages on the chat. So how many times are you going to reuse the same message? Sometimes for requesting stuff and sometimes for not requesting anything, as a plain informal informative message.
I meant if it was, let's say that it's two channels that has the same request for whatever reason, the same request payload.
Mm-hmm.
Then you would have to copy paste
No, you
the
define schema.
message.
You define two messages and they share the schemas. That's what schemas are for.
You have one message with those headers and one without.
You know, if you have two messages and they share the same payload, then you create two messages and the payloads of each message will point to schema definition, to the same schema definition. But you don't share the same message, right? That's my point.
Yes.
So this case would be just like this. You have one user, create user synchronized, where you have those reply to, and an asynchronized where it's just fire and forget. Not just let's call it fan out to make it more clear.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the headers, but you just say here $ref
yeah, something like this. Like you have a
it's more like this. You share the schema.
Yeah, in this case, but when you have a message is always, if a message is a request, I truly cannot think of a case. Maybe if I think about it a little bit more, I come up with a case, but like if a message is a request, I don't think it can be used, or it will be used as a non-request, like, I don't know, like, and also I don't think it's all, because we have properties at the message level, like the summary saying represents an explicit request. If this same message is not going to be used as a request, it's going to be used as something else, then the summary doesn't match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even in this case, I think if you have something in common, we have enough reusability in the spec, but you should create two messages, even if they do look identical. But the summary will be different because you're using the same message for a different purpose, right? And the name or the ID of the message can also be different, like create user request and create user, is pointing out there. So they look the same, but they're two different things.
Okay, but how would it help that having message defined like this? Okay, now I have here reply to and collation ID in my create user sync. How would it help me here? I still need to define the. I have defined the header. I have so I might get rid of this one, but I still need to say, hey, my reply to address.
We still need that. We still need that for sure. Or we put it on the yeah. You need to specify what is the reply to a header, like where should we find this information. You still need that. That's fine. That's completely fine. I was saying this because we were discussing like how will it look like from the client point of view, right? Like this opposite example that you created.
Yeah.
This could be solved by moving this to the message. So saying that a message is a request. It has a type of message, right? We can even then explore further in the future. Like there are different kinds of messages. There are requests, responses, of course, but there are in normal, let's say in the usual brokers, let's say, yeah, the usual broker architectures, you have this change data capture type of message. So you can then specify, so this is a message that is, it's also called FAT messages or REST messages. So for instance, there is a kind of message that is, whenever I update a record on the database, I want to publish a message to the broker, not just like sending all the new object. Like imagine I create a new user, I create a user on the database, and once I have all the information, I publish a message to the broker with all the information about the new user, everything, like the ID, the name, the email, everything goes there. That's one kind of message, but there is another one kind of message and another way of doing this, which is you don't publish all the information to the broker, but just publish a message with a single property, which is the ID of the user. And if you need to get the information of the user, then the client will call the API to retrieve everything from the database, right? So that these types of messages are useful sometimes. One is called FAT messages because it has lots of information, and the other one is like it has less, right? So yeah, I think it's event notification, if I'm not mistaken, the second one. So if we have this kind of property on the message, can be a response, can be a request, can be a change data capture, can be a event notification. There are many types of messages that we might want to add in the future. So yeah.
But this would not help you, because what you don't have, so you can put a type of the message, okay, but you need to know is where to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get back here to the use cases. You have one use case where you only have a well-defined response topic. It's not part of the message. You will always need the operation to know where to respond to.
In this case, yeah.
So on the server side, you will need an operation. You cannot do it without.
We can just say on the message level, we can say that this is a request, but the specific information on where to reply needs to be on the operation.
Yeah, but I don't know what's the benefit to saying what kind of message it is. You can do, but yeah, what's the benefit here to say what kind of message it is? Or we say in a channel, what is the direction of the message? Now in V3 it's gone, but yeah.
So there's benefit, for instance, when generating code, right? When generating code, and also because I was mentioning, like, we can get rid of action request and it can be action send, right? We have send and receive.
Yeah.
So it's just that we don't have special actions or anything, just send and receive. And now to know that what you're sending is a request, you need to check if the message has the type request, right? You know what I mean? And also the receiver will be the server, right? We'll need to check if the message has kind of request, and therefore, for instance, if I'm generating code, I will generate a server. I will not generate let's say a broker client, or I generate a broker client, but I expect to generate a different code because I know it's a request. So I will at some point have to reply. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand, but I'm not sure it's the best solution.
What I'm saying is,
you have an operation.
We can probably simplify. We can start simplifying things. I think reply should stay there on the operation. We just need to hint that the message is of type request or response or whatever. Then reply here can be in the first case, in the A example that you have above, where the channel is specific channel always the same. Then we can just say, like, it's channel whatever. This is the name of the channel where you have to specify where you have to send it. We can have the other options, which is reply topic or reply channel, or I don't know how to call it, like, or reply to, right? And then the source is either a header or a body, and that's fine. And I think, yeah, we need the message. You're right. So we still need the message there. Yeah, I think.
So let's have it here.
The only
Type.
thing is just saying that, yeah, that this is a request.
Fan out. Request. Reply. I don't know what to get. Yeah, a lot of things possible.
Yeah, that's my point. So that it's actually something that makes the spec more rich. If you think about it, like let's just start from the simple case, like request reply for what we have at hand.
And
So in this case, it's a
standard
request.
fan out. Just fire and forget, how you would call that.
But in this case, it's request. You're actually mentioning on the summary.
Yes.
It's an explicit request.
Yeah, just what kind of types would you allow?
For now, request and response. That's it.
And the standard use case is where you just make fire and forget, how you would call that?
Yeah, and the standard and the default will be as request, response, and yeah, just a plain message. I don't know, generic message if you want. Say generic. It could
Okay.
be a because fan out implies a kind of architecture. We don't know the architecture at message.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
And what name is generic? Yeah.
So let's say just generic. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then it's like generic request or response. In this case, it will be a request.
Yeah.
In the case of the creation failed or user created, it will be
Yeah.
a response. Yeah. Don't you think it makes more sense to have it like this?
Well, at least I have no reason against it.
So we have a message in the chat. In JSON RPC, when a notification is sent by the client, a response is not expected. It's not sent with a correlation ID. Can you elaborate, Nathan? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I'm here. Let me just check. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in our case, we mainly use JSON RPC with MQTT. We use MQTT with obviously other types of topics, but when we use it over, when we use JSON RPC over MQTT, we have a single topic for requests and usually a single topic for responses.
Mm-hmm.
So, and basically, and then JSON RPC works with, basically you have different methods. So in the body of the message, you have the ID, the correlation ID, and then you have the message. And then when you send a message with an ID, you basically expect the server to respond with a response. But the client can also send a notification. And in this case, a notification is just a message that is sent and the server is not expected to send a response, basically. And in that case, in the body of the message, there's no correlation ID.
Is it always the case in JSON RPC like this? Like, or
yeah,
like
in JSON RPC,
like
it's
topics, one for request and one for response?
Oh, no, because JSON RPC doesn't know about MQTT, right?
Okay.
It's just, you can use it over any transport, but it doesn't define what's the behavior over MQTT. So before MQTT 5, like with MQTT 5, there's the notion of reply topic. So that helps a lot for JSON RPC. Before MQTT 5, we had to do some acts basically to make the protocol work well over MQTT. But now it works pretty well. And we've been basically trying to see whether async API can be used to describe it, because there's another system called OpenRPC, which is specifically to describe JSON RPC, a bit like an Open API also, but it's only meant to describe basically JSON RPC. So we were interested in seeing whether async API, which can describe all the rest of our APIs also over MQTT, could basically do both.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for jumping in, but times is more or less up. So just to finish it off, before everyone has to leave, or some have to leave. I think it would be great if we just schedule, if everyone is up for it, for next Monday again, a new ad hoc meeting, because I guess it doesn't stop here. So yeah, I'll schedule another call for next week if that's up for everyone. And then Heiko, if you don't mind, not writing a conclusion, but like a semi, like what's it like called? Where we left off.
Yep.
And where we can continue from.
Yeah.
Because then it's easier to get right into it.
Yeah, sure. I put it into an issue.
Perfect. Because then I'll schedule it with them.
I'm gonna try to write an example myself as well of what I meant now and yeah. But this is definitely something that needs more exploration because yeah.
I will put it later into this issue.
During the meetings, I imagine.
And Nathaniel, we would love to hear your use case more specifically, if you can highlight that, because the more use cases we include in this, the better, more or less.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. I can maybe try explaining the basic of the digital RPC, which is pretty simple, but it may help.
Should I proceed here to write? Because this one here is about API version 2, or just going on here because here's a bigger discussion already?
I suggest you do it in the issue because the pull request, like it's clear from the owner of the pull request that he cannot be a champion of the proposal any longer.
Yeah.
So so definitely update the issue.
Okay.
Especially with examples, because in the pull request before the meeting when I was checking examples, they were not based on V3, I think.
No, it's about
not.
this one here is about V2, yeah.
Yeah.
But not the 618, because that's Fran's proposal for publish and subscribe confusion.
Yeah, not
just
there.
take the request reply.
Yeah, not this one. Yeah.
So create a new issue, or is there?
There is issue 69 and 94 number.
94.
Yeah. It's a support request reply pattern issue. And yeah, best is to update this one because there's a lot of people already there as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for
Great discussion, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
See you
Thank you
next
too.
time.
Bye.